anybody know that's watching on live or on Zoom, the meeting is going to be recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, just go ahead and turn your camera off so that we don't have to have you here if you're not comfortable with that. Also, we wanted to talk about the pods, which we're kind of doing a mini pod here where we have a few extra people that are live. But obviously, just because of COVID and everything, we're trying to keep it pretty much online for safety purposes. And then maybe every month we may have 2 or 3 people that, come see us live if they want to. But I'll announce that on the side and in private messages and stuff like that. Next meeting, just to give you guys some heads up information for February, is going to be the 16th. Still working on the topic for that. So please feel free to send messages or post things in the COIN group and let us know what you guys want to hear. And then again, with the posting, please post whatever you guys want, not whatever you want. Post within the group, create some conversation. Let's try to stay away from the selling. There's obviously many other sites for that with selling and promoting your own businesses. Ask for help, ask for money, ask for properties, but don't sell your properties or sell your services, so to speak. We want to try to create some natural conversation between people and just make it a little more organic, so to speak. That real quick, I kind of want to know if anybody in the group, and Amanda, please watch the chat window, if anybody has any announcements they'd like to make right now. So if anybody's got anything they want to talk about, anybody here, any announcements from any of the wholesalers, a bunch of houses you want to sell?
Yeah, Southwest promotion.
No promotion.
Oh.
But anyways, I think the chat window looks pretty dead right now. And again, thanks you guys for joining us online and with the video and Zoom and stuff. And again, I think, Amanda, we're doing the Facebook Live as well. So on both of those things, we really appreciate you guys being here and talking with us or watching us talk to you. But we are looking forward to getting back in person at some point this year and having beer and food together. I want to move over to Amanda real quick, and she's going to do some market update stuff real quick. And then here shortly, we'll get into a member spotlight with Nick. And then we'll come back to myself here at Mr. Hummus and Grill on Duffel Road, in case you guys want to know where it's at, and get to our wholesalers and start talking about our topic of the night. Okay? Amanda, go ahead.
Video going on.
You were muted.
Why don't we go ahead and jump to the spotlight for a moment? Amanda's still getting the video going on Facebook Live, and then we'll come back for the market update.
Yes.
All right, you guys, can everyone hear me okay? Yeah. I strategically spilt beer on Sarah's laptop, and her speakers are a little wonky. But all right, let's get down to the investor spotlight of the month. This is a new thing that we're doing that is essentially introducing our community to each other. As everybody knows, or most of us, there are many, many ways to make money in real estate, and we kind of want to just share all the different types of personalities, strengths, and whatnot, and share what's going on today in our members' lives, because it changes from time to time. We might be flipping one month and wholesaling the next, or maybe we're the bank. So this month, we asked Brad Clazario to say a few words. I have a few questions for you. Oh, Corizio, I'm sorry, sir. And we're going to go through and see what you're up to these days. How are you? Unmute. Hey, Brad.
You're on mute, Brad.
Brad's really good at real estate, just not computers. Sorry. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, go for it.
I was just praising the size of the group. I can't believe we had 60 people. That's the largest one I've seen, at least virtually. So that's amazing. And shout out to the COIN leaders that are putting this stuff together. 60's really impressive. So nice job, guys. But I'm doing well. I'm staying busy, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about is just some of the things I'm up to keep my day-to-day filled.
Awesome. Let's start with your first question. So what is your primary strategy that you are currently implementing that's making you money in real estate today?
Well, I've always been a long-term landlord. So there's some pretty bad feedback too. I don't know if you guys hear it, but I hear it on my end.
Yeah, everyone except Brad and Nick can go ahead and mute, please. And maybe Nick, even go ahead and mute when you're not speaking.
So I have always been a long-term rental person. And so even when I had my W-2 job, the play was always, flip in order to buy more long-term rentals and, be a realtor in order to buy more rentals. And so right now I'm focusing also with Brad Parton. Brad's my partner. We're focusing on some bigger stuff. And so we added about 30 single families to our portfolio in 2020. But we are focusing primarily right now on large apartment complexes. We are working on, I can go over more details if you want, but I have always been a long-term buy and hold person. I do have other arms of real estate. So I focus on passive, but I use active income in order to pay for those. So things like flipping is active income, being a realtor is active income, or wholesaler is active income. Active income to me is anything that doesn't just come every month like passive does with rentals. And so I'm continuing full charge on passive income, and I'm using my active income to help fund it.
That's great. Question number 2, what role has networking played in your real estate business?
Well, if I focus, I also don't know where to look, by the way. I don't know where the camera is, so I'm sorry. But so I'm looking all over the place. But if I think about just purely being an investor, I can't even describe where I would not be or where I would be without networking. So I've had a number of mentors in my career. Most notably, it's been John Horner, who has carried me along with questions and things that I've had. And I met John through like networking, and then, our relationship increased actually through the coin when he was one of the founders of this program. And so, things like my lending, I mean, I use folks even on this call for private lending. I loan to people on this call. I find deals from a really good majority of the folks on here, Abby and Sean and Esteban, all those guys. I mean, I wouldn't know any of these people without networking. And so what we're doing here tonight is what it's all about. I mean, we're all in some way connected to the cream, and obviously the coin does a ton of stuff, but I mean, I can't even picture what my career would be like without networking in some capacity. And ultimately it was a coin meeting that got me, it was a development deal that I did that was so large. Esteban, you know what I'm talking about, man. It was what propelled me to be able to quit my job. And it was a coin meeting where I got the funding for that deal. And so it all roots back to just knowing the right people, meeting the right people, and staying connected, more importantly, not just this monthly call, but grabbing coffee with people and just being out there and letting people know what you do. Like, there are some people on this call that I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. And so your job is to change that. It's not, that you have to sell to me, whatever, but everybody on this call, my encouragement is, like, let people know you're in real estate. Let people know you're a wholesaler, a flipper, a realtor, whatever it is. Make sure everybody that you know and you come into contact with knows that you're in real estate.
Yeah, I've dedicated 1 day a week just for networking strategically these days, especially with COVID, where it's a little bit more difficult, hence our Zoom meeting, a little bit different than what we're used to in the past. But it's working. All right, question number 3. What would you tell yourself 2 years ago if you could? If you could go back.
Yeah, I thought about this one a lot. And so, not that you've asked me these questions before, but I thought about this one a lot because, 2 years ago, I was 2 months away from quitting my full-time job. So I worked a W-2 job until April 12th, 2019. Not that I keep track. And, so I go back and I think about, where was I 2 years ago, January of 2019, just getting ready to quit my job. And man, there's so many things that I would say, but the thing that sticks out to me is just like, trust your gut. And so there are so many people who will not buy a deal over $1,000 because it doesn't fit in your calculator or your bigger pockets calculator, whatever you're using to analyze a deal. And I go back to 2015. I'll never forget. I looked at a 4-unit in Old Town East, and in 2015, Old Town East isn't what it is today. I looked at this 4-unit. It was on Champion. It was $55,000 for a 4-unit. I mean, God, wouldn't we all kill for that now? And I knew I should have bought it. Like at the time, I was like, man, I really should buy this place. But the area made me nervous, and I was using these really conservative numbers because the area made me nervous. And it was one of very few times I went against my gut. And it's probably one of the best deals that I've passed on that, I let the calculations get in the way. So, I always say, what am I going to remember more? Am I going to remember the extra $1,000 that I spent, $2,000, whatever it is, on a deal that maybe I'm making it work, but my gut's telling me it should work? Or am I going to remember the deal that I didn't buy because I was being too conservative? So, I take a lot more risks now than I did 2 years ago. And hopefully in 2 years, I take even more risks. But the best deals that I've done, the deals that have propelled me forward, whether it's, development or whatever it is, it's where I just trusted my gut. I didn't put anything into a calculator. I just thought I run some very basic numbers in my head. Can I make money? The answer is yes. I'm doing the deal. I'm trusting my gut. So, for those of you on the call, if you've had a deal that you can think about where you went against what your gut, your heart was telling you, I'd ask you to say, like, in your own head, whether or not you made the right decision. If you went against your gut, did you make the right decision? Look, I see Sarah and Nick. Look, I got to know more about that at some point. But for me, it's gotten bigger over the years. But my gut has never led me wrong. And so to this date, the 10 years as an investor, I've never followed my gut and not made the right decision. So, and take risks. For those of you on here who haven't done a deal, quit looking for the home run. Look for the single that will get you off the ledge, and then go find the home runs. Because home runs are very, very rare when it comes to doing your first or second deal. Go out there and do something that you just can't lose money on, and get the experience that you need to start doing bigger stuff.
Yeah, I love the take risks. I feel like, as time goes on, we're going to be more vulnerable down the road, potentially. It's a good time. And it can always be relative based on your circumstance. But I think if I could do the same, I would definitely take more risks myself. So that's great. All right, last question. What's something interesting or unique about yourself, totally unrelated to real estate?
Well, it's not completely unrelated, but I get, the number one question people ask me is like, how did you get started? I started at 21 years old. I turned 31 on Thursday, so I'm almost 10 years in this. And, everybody asks me where I got the money to get started. And I actually grew up relatively, I don't want to say poor, but I was on the lower middle class. And so, I didn't have a bunch of money from parents, which if you do, awesome, good for you. But I grew up, pretty not without a lot of money. And so I actually got started in real estate by flipping cars. And so I don't know anything. I didn't at the time know anything about cars, but I had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I actually would buy cars from Craigslist. When I started when I was 15 years old, and I would strip the car and I would sell the parts on eBay. I had no idea what I was doing. I never really put the cars back together, but I would strip them. If it needed some small stuff, I would do it. I would sell it on Craigslist. And so when I was 18 years old, I made $40,000 flipping cars, and it's ultimately, it helped me pay for some college. I did go to college, but it was also the payment on my very first, it was the rehab funds for one of my first deals. I actually bought my first deal on a credit card, and used the money from flipping cars to finish the rehab, and then I sold it, and it transpired from there. So what people don't know is I'm actually a huge car guy. I love cars. I've owned 54 cars, And, most of them have been personal. Some of them have been flips. But I'm a huge car guy. I don't have as much time anymore to work on cars like I used to. But that's what I do in my spare time. And I have a unhealthy obsession with getting a new car about once every 7 to 8 months. So that's it.
Awesome. I love that. Brad, thank you so much for your time. If someone here wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
I'll give my email if that's okay. And so, yeah, my email is my last name and my first initial. So it's up on the Zoom. So clariziob@gmail.com. And feel free to reach out, and happy to help in whatever way I can.
Hey, Brad, why don't you go ahead and pop your email in that chat box if you would, and then that way everyone
Perfect.
can see it.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Nick. Appreciate it. Since Brad's a little long-winded, our meeting is going to go really long tonight. Kidding, Brad. I love it.
Thanks, Brian.
Actually, our meeting will go longer than normal just because we have the 3 people on the panel, just to let you guys know. So next up, we got Amanda. She's just going to give us some quick market update stuff. And once she gets done with that, we'll kick it back over here to myself. Go ahead, Amanda.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. And Brad, that's a truly really inspiring story. I never heard that you were a car flipper before a house flipper. So that is pretty cool. Thanks for sharing your story. And I like that this also gives the speakers a little bit more time to eat, even though we're getting started maybe a little later than we thought, but that's okay. Zoom, what else do we have to do tonight, right? So basically, I've been given a real estate market update every month in our meetings. And if you've been coming, you've probably heard that our real estate market is super hot, still is the same. If anything, it's more exaggerated than it was in our last meeting in November. So we are in an extremely seller's market. Everything is extremely competitive, very aggressive. There's a friend of mine listed a house and said that within 24 hours, there were 60 showings already scheduled on the property, and everything's getting 10 to 15 or more offers. So it's just extremely competitive right now. On Thursday, we're expected to get the final sales number from 2020. So there's an event, the Joint Industry Forecast event, which is an economic forecast for the upcoming year. And typically, Columbus Realtors has all of the sales data for 2020 finalized by that point. So we will, I'll post all of that in Facebook once it's finalized. Again, it should be on Thursday, but we're projected to have higher sales than previous years, even though we had a little bit of a pause during the start of the pandemic. But everything just kind of kept plowing through the rest of the year, and it's just been extremely hectic out there. We have seen certain areas be more competitive than others. So it's a national trend that we're seeing a lot of buyers kind of focus a little bit more on the suburbs because everyone's wanting a little bit more space, a bigger house, so office, they need more room. So a lot of the increase in sales that we're seeing this year compared to previous years is actually the higher price points that we have. So that kind of more expensive homes is increasing. As of 4:30-ish today, we had just a little over 1,600 homes on the market, which is like the lowest that I've ever seen. I think it's the lowest in history. To put that into perspective, during the recession, I've heard that we had closer to 20,000 homes on the market, and a balanced market would be about 5,000 to 6,000. So right now, if we were not going to add any more homes to the market, we'd definitely run out within a month, less than a month. Another trend that people are seeing is, remodeling homes because we're all stuck at home a little bit more. People are kind of missing adventure and things like that. So I read a quote in an article the other day that said, essentially, we're trying to recreate the spaces that we used to travel to, which I know a lot of people are still traveling, but a lot aren't. A couple of events, and then that's the last thing I have to say. So I mentioned the Columbus Realtors Joint Industry Forecast event. So this is an annual event. Usually it's a luncheon and it's kind of expensive, I don't know, $50, $100, something like that for a ticket. But this year, since it's free, it's going to be virtual, and it's actually free to the public. So you don't even have to be a realtor to join. And I'm going to post the link in the comments, but basically as long as you sign up, you're going to get a link and you'll be able to watch this event along with us. So it's always great. Next, Columbus Business First. I consider myself a Columbus Business First enthusiast, and I attend a lot of their events as well. And they do a lot of events about real estate. So they have one coming up. It's a series event. There's 5 total episodes or sessions. So the first one is the future of cities and the future of Columbus. They have others, so that's $50 per session, or you can pay $100 and have access to all 5. So the other ones after the future of the cities is a commercial real estate forecast, women in commercial real estate, and Ohio's economic outlook. And there's also going to be a keynote that's TBD. So just a couple of events that I thought people might be interested in. I'll post those in the chat and let me know if you have any questions about anything. Looking forward to hearing our speakers. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. We're going to go ahead and get started here with our 3 speakers. And grab my other set of notes. A few things I just want to let you guys know as we go through this. We're going to do the presentation on basically wholesaling, but we're going to break it down into 2 parts. One part will be basically working with these wholesalers and what it's like to buy a wholesale deal, and then also what it takes to become a wholesaler. Basically what I'm going to do is I have a few questions that I'm going to ask these guys directly, let them answer, and then please put all your questions in the chat box. And then Amanda, Sarah, everybody on the back side is going to be watching the chat box and letting me know what questions you have. And we'll break out here in between some questions and get you guys to get your questions answered as well. I want to introduce everybody real quick, and we'll go from left to right, right to left, depending if you're dyslexic or not. And we have Sean Grabo on the left, and he's with Central City Solutions, a pretty well-known, I think, wholesaler here in Columbus, Ohio. We have Abigail Sweetheart of a company I just learned of today called E-Lane Properties, but everybody knows her as just Abigail. And then we have Esteban of iHomes, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows Esteban as well. And they've graciously decided to come here and eat all this amazing food. I mean, talk about wholesaling and give you guys some information today and answer some of your questions should you have them. One of the things I want to talk about real quick before we get into some questions with these guys is just the quick difference between buying a deal from a wholesaler versus buying a deal from a realtor. And I think most of you guys know kind of how that works is with a realtor, you're pretty much having your hand held, talking about due diligence and comps and, you know, inspections and everything that's wrong with the house when you buy it, versus a wholesaler. Just to be quick and dirty about it, it's as is, typically cash and typically fast. So if you want a house, buy it. Do your due diligence, understand your ARVs, understand your rehab budgets, and make sure you know what you're doing and do it on your own, right? That's the quick and dirty. I will ask the 3 here on the panel if there's anything they want to add to the differences between a regular deal with a broker versus themselves. And we'll start with Abby. If you have any opinions on the differences between a regular MLS deal and a wholesale deal.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Most off-market deals are assignment contracts, which are pretty popular in commercial real estate, and they are definitely more popular in Columbus as residential. It is as is, it's cash, hard money, private money. You cannot use conventional financing, FHA financing. Fannie and Freddie Mac products do not support assignment fees. So typical financing will not work for these deals. I think at maximum, unless it's like a special scenario, 2 weeks, 3 weeks close, usually like a week though. All the due diligence needs to be done at your walkthroughs, so there's not an inspection period. There are much shorter timeframes for as-is off-market wholesale deals.
Sean, Esteban, anything you want to add on top of that?
I think Abby said it all.
Okay, you guys can go ahead and take off. We appreciate your attendance.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, so I'm going to get into a few questions, like I said. And then, again, guys, keep putting your questions in the comment box so that I can get the information from Amanda and Sarah and Nick and everybody. So one of the first questions I want to ask the panel is, what cost should I expect to pay as a buyer of a wholesale deal? Esteban?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It was a big surprise when you guys contact me, and it's an honor just to be here with everybody else. So normally when we put the properties under contract with sellers, one of the big things that we offer is that we pay all the costs. The idea is that when the seller is gonna get his money, when they do the title search, they're just gonna pay for whatever money or liens or mortgages they owe on the property. The taxes up to the date of closing, they pay the property taxes, and if they have any fees, HOA fees or things like that, they pay up to the date of closing. But the new buyer, when we assign the property, is gonna pay all the closing costs. So title search, title insurance, recording fees, all that kind of fees is gonna be paid. So whatever price we put it under contract, they're gonna be paying our fee plus all the title closing fees that are involved. So that's pretty much what they're gonna be paying on top of everything.
Okay, good. Esteban, I appreciate that. Sean, is most of those fees that Esteban talked about and costs covered with the same thing you guys do?
Yeah,
Or do you guys do something different?
No, we do the same thing. They cover all the closing costs and our assignment fee and the seller's price.
Okay. Abby, I assume pretty much the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the premise of the buyer paying all the closing costs is the main benefit of wholesale marketing. People get in contract with sellers because they want something quick and clean and easy, and they don't want to have to think, oh, I'm getting 75,000, but it really means this. They want it as simple and seamless as possible, and that means the buyer is paying the closing costs.
They want the price you agreed upon.
Yeah, they want and they don't think in terms of like, if you're a realtor, they don't think in terms of like a HUD and knowing that there's subtraction and money taken away because of fees. Like, that is the whole premise of wholesale marketing, is that they are getting what they were told they would get.
Very cool. Sean, you can grab one of those plates and fill that up a little bit. I appreciate it. So next question we're going to talk about here is what are my best resources for gaining information on the property? So obviously, wholesalers send out their disposition of their deals in an email and give you some basic information about the property, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and basically sales price, right? What can a person that's working with you as a buyer do to do their own due diligence and find more information about that property? Sean?
What was the question? I was busy,
You got it.
Well, I think the auditor site
Yeah.
is like the first place I would ever go to look at public data on a property. Sometimes the recorder has stuff. And that would also just drive the neighborhood and get a grasp of it. But to look at actual public information, the auditor site's going to be your best bet. And then if you have a realtor, have them run their own comps and their own your own CMA. Sometimes I put comps on things, sometimes I don't.
Right.
But I think those are two good places to look.
So Sean, we were just saying, what's the best place to find information on a property that you guys send out besides the email that you guys send?
Yeah, the auditor site, Zillow, doing whatever due diligence you would probably do if you're buying on market, driving the neighborhood. Yeah, and I mean, you're gonna get most of the information when you do the walkthrough on the property.
Right.
So, yeah.
So for you guys and us, I think a lot of us know the auditor site just sounds like a normal term, right?
Yeah.
What is the auditor site, and like, what does that tell people?
property.franklincountyauditor.com. You can.
Yes, so the auditor site is a really good resource. It's public information, and every transaction on real estate is recorded on the recorder side, but it shows on the auditor side. Now, the auditor is going to give you that, when we talk going to the auditor side, you can do different searches. You can search by the address of the property, you can search by owner of the property, or you can search also with the parcel number. It's really cool because it's not just the summary. When you get into that side, you're going to see the summary of the property, where you're going to see, okay, who's the owner, when was the last transfer, how much it was the last transfer, and you can make sure that whatever information we're giving you on the package is true. Like, okay, the square footage is gonna be there. How many bathrooms, if it has a basement, if they got, if they, sometimes the property that we're going to advertise is gonna be 2,000 square feet. And you might go to the auditor site and you're gonna see, oh, it's just 1,500 square feet. That means that they may be an addition in the back, in the past. And you can check in the auditor site if they pull permits for that addition. You can check the sketch, which give you like the sizes of the perimeter of the house and how many rooms they have. You can see if he has a basement, he has a garage, or even if the water is public water or is a well. All these details you can find on the auditor site. I always recommend people to kind of take your time and explore the sites because you're gonna find more information than you think. Another thing that I suggest, just go on Google Maps, check what is the property located, because you want to see if it is in a neighborhood, or maybe the house is in a field right next to dealerships, car dealership or something like that. Maybe Clarice is gonna love that location, but many people is not gonna like it that much. But yeah, you can find a lot of information. Plus Zillow, same thing. We all know that the Zillow estimate is not the best data that we can find, but it's a point of reference. When you look into Zillow, or there is another site called PropStreams that is paid information, you pay for that site, but you can compare, and then you can start building your own criteria of how much that house really is, how much you can sell it for, how the market works in those areas. So it's really good information on all these sites.
Cool, great.
Repeat PropStreams. They didn't repeat PropStreams.
PropStreams, yeah, repeat it.
Yeah,
with a good pronunciation.
That's awesome. So again, Esteban, let you guys know that also, besides the Franklin County Auditor site, as Esteban said, Zillow is a decent one to look at. I think a lot of us agree that really the only data on Zillow that's good is the sold data.
Yeah.
Zestimate, never rely on it whatsoever. You could probably get decent rent data, off there as well. And then obviously PropStream, which is another pay program. It's about $100 a month, depending on which service you want to use with that. I think it's 10,000 names per month you can pull off there. But it's another good site, but it pulls its data mainly from, I think, the auditor site as well. So PropStream is just one example of a million different, pay programs you guys can grab out there to do stuff. So next question will be a little bit more on the fee side of things. A couple of things. One, what if your buyer is working with a realtor, and obviously there's a realtor fee? Two, how do you guys determine your asking price? And three, where does all the fees and assignments and stuff like that show up, or does it not show up? Sean.
Yeah, so anytime we sign on a property to somebody, we go ahead and put our fee. They know right up front. We don't try to hide that. As soon as they agree to purchase at our price, our assignment of contract is going to have the purchase price laid out, and then what our fee is on top of that. And then as far as what was the other part of it? Realtors, yeah. So we clearly say in our marketing that realtors are just going to put add their fee on top. So if we're selling a property for $50,000 and the realtor wants to make $2,000, then they're going to tell their clients it's $52,000. They can put whatever fee they want on top. And sometimes if we're having a little trouble getting rid of a property, we'll happily pay a realtor a fee as well too. But standard practice is just for the realtor to add their fee on top.
And Abigail, same thing, kind of what Sean said, more or less.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't mind. I actually like working with other realtors. They have lots of different clients that they can bring. All I ask is that just realtors be upfront quickly. If you have a client interested in the property, add your fee on top, like Sean said. Or if your client's not interested in paying full price, include your fee in the offer so we can understand the net. Because there's nothing more confusing than a realtor taking an assignment marketing and then forwarding it to a client, and all of a sudden we have full price offers, and then a realtor comes in and wants to cut down the fee. Well, it doesn't make sense to take that offer. So if you are a realtor, I do love working with you, but make sure you're upfront at the beginning. If your clients are interested, add your fee on top, like Sean said, or just make sure it's in your offer so we understand what the net is.
Okay, very cool. We do have a question coming from the group here online, and somebody's asking, do you guys provide a warranty deed with a sale? Esteban?
So yes. So normally whenever we're negotiating properties, we do a lot of marketing to negotiate properties. So we go as we are the buyers, and this is we might have different strategies, but we always go to the seller as we are the buyer. So we're putting the property under contract on our company name, iHomes, and normally in Ohio, the seller has the right to choose the title agency. But because we're dealing with people that many times they don't even know they can sell their properties, so we provide the title company. So we say, okay, we're gonna be closing with X or Y title company, and they're gonna take care of the title search. So there is always a warranty deed on the closing of this property. So there is a title search. The title fee is gonna be paid by the new buyer. That is included on the closing fees, and they get free and clear title when they take possession of the property.
Very good, thanks. So when you guys find your properties and start advertising to your buyers, how are you finding your buyers? 2, who gets the deals first? and 3, where are some places that you advertise besides email?
Yeah, so with us, we advertise on the Corey site, all the Facebook groups, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace sometimes, even Bigger Pockets. We email our deals out. We're just starting to text our deals out. And yeah, I think that's all the channels we use.
Cool. And
Yeah.
how do you find your buyers?
Oh, all different ways. It's been pretty
Be honest, that was the truth.
It's been pretty organic lately. Like someone will forward an email and be like, oh, I want to be added to your buyers list. Like I get texts from random numbers all the time. But I'm on the Cream, I'm on Corey. They'll see previous listings of mine on Corey. I have a pretty extensive email marketing list as well, and then also just networking events, being at Coin, being friends with Brian, Brad. And as far as who gets deals first, to be honest, repeat buyers get deals first. It's just how it is. It's, you know, you're messing with people's lives. The people that are selling these distressed properties are trusting you with their lives and their homes. And if I know someone's going to close, they get the deal first. Sometimes, and like I'm gonna venture to say that sometimes even at slightly lower prices, just because I know and I can trust them. If they say they're closing, their word is as good as gold. And that's who usually gets my deals first.
Absolutely. All right. So another question from the members watching. Does the buyer pay the full cost of the title insurance? Esteban, since you talked about that a little bit ago.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Completely. We as wholesalers, we just get a fee. We pay absolutely nothing. We just and the thing is, as Sean said, when I assign the property, I send the assignment. Everything is disclosed there. You know how much we put for, you know, on escrow money, how much is under contract, how much is our wholesaling fee, and at the same time, I attach the original contract. It's always super important. If you're working with a wholesaler that is not going to give you the original contract or is scratching some numbers, just walk away from that, because if I'm assigning a contract, you need to know what the contract says.
Mm-hmm.
You need to read the contract. And pretty much, I guess all our contracts are different. So it's important that you, even if you have some experience working with wholesalers, always read the contract, always know what you're getting into it.
Or
So
ask questions.
everything is completely clear for you guys.
I think just asking questions too to who you're buying from is important, because there's nothing worse than getting to the closing table and be like, I thought you were paying for this,
Yes.
or whatever. Like, I've dealt with multiple investors where the buyer is paying the seller's title insurance, but I've also dealt with agreements that you're paying all the closing costs but that. So I think it's important to ask, because there are all different sorts of agreements out there.
And sometimes your contract will even vary from seller to seller. Sometimes we'll tweak things to satisfy the seller. So even within our own contracts, they vary from time to time.
Yeah, like I personally try and get the sellers to pay for their personal own title insurance but sometimes we don't. I just bought a deal that didn't, and it does change your closing costs drastically.
Right. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions about title stuff, guys. So the other question.
Call Chris Eldridge.
Yeah.
Access Title.
So another question we have is if a buyer has a title company that they like to use, is it possible for the buyer to be able to use that title company versus the seller choosing? And have you guys ran into that, or is it typically seller decision?
It is. I think personally, there's very rare occasion that I'll switch a title company, because you have to think from a business perspective, whether it's real estate or not. You know, Esteban might have get an agreement in. You send it. I send my agreements in to title to start clearing title right away.
Yes.
So they put time, effort, and money into clearing this title for you. There's liens, attorney general liens, mortgage liens, tax liens. There's all these different things they're working for. And it's not good business to pull from them, someone that you rely on so heavily to get a deal done. It's not good business to pull from them and just switch title companies. Now, there's different things we can tweak to make your life easier, but I really, really heavily do not suggest switching title companies. I won't do it most of the time.
And that's the beauty of this, because I think differently. So yeah, and this is an agreement that I have with my title agency. We close absolutely everything with them. I think we buy at least half of the properties that we put under contract, and we sell them with them after their rehab. So we have a really good relationship. And but if I have, we have a couple hedge funds that bought properties from us. If they say I'm closing with my title company, I already have my relationship, and I already talked to my title agency and told them, hey, if I have some buyers, because I'm bringing them new buyers constantly, so their business is growing exponentially. But if I have certain buyers that they get really comfortable closing with their title agencies because they have their lending and the title agency has their relationship with the lender, I understand that it's a lot easier for them to go through the process of closing with their own title agency. So I do it not with anybody, you need to know your buyer as well. As Abby was mentioning, that she has some buyers that she knows who they are. It's the same with me. I have some buyers that I know who they are, and I say, okay, close with your title agency. I know you're gonna close on time.
Yeah.
You have the relationship, so that's perfectly okay with me as well.
So with your guys' relationships with your title companies, do you usually have the preliminary title commitment before you even start marketing? Or do you start it and then market and then see what happens? What kind of process steps do you follow?
I think it depends on the deal. If we have plenty of time, then I want to get that preliminary title report done first, so I'm not wasting everybody's time, because there's things pop up all the time. But if you're trying to get rid of if the seller needs to move fast, it's a case-by-case basis. I think a lot of times you kind of have a gut feeling if the title is going to come back clean, and then I just go ahead and market it out. But yeah, I think it depends on a lot of different circumstances.
And obviously, with the communication you guys have with sellers, you get that gut feeling. And then if it comes back, your contract covers you.
Yeah.
That if there's a problem, and obviously it's a null and void contract because they weren't upfront with their information.
Yeah,
Right?
they weren't
they
able to
just didn't
provide
know.
a clear title.
But at the same time, you don't want to spend time having, marketed time and effort with a buyer and then upsetting them because you were going to sell them something that didn't clear title, or wasn't just because of the fees or whatever was going on lien-wise, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna happen though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Okay, so speaking of fees a little bit, do you guys disclose your assignment fee, or do you get questions about your assignment fees, or how does that work? Or All the smiles
I
are
have an
amazing.
opinion.
I disclose my assignment
Yeah.
fee all the time. I have a fee that I would like to hit every time, an average fee. Now, if I have a killer deal, of course, my fee is gonna be larger, and I like people to kind of just put offers and see where the market is. But it's the same thing. I try to average $10,000 to $12,000 just openly, but I have assigned properties for $3,000 because it just didn't sell. My goal, my main goal, no matter what, is to close on that property. If I can't assign it, I buy it. Every property that I underwrite in my company, I'm willing to buy it, because as Abby was mentioned before, their lives are on the line. They sell their lives. They're trusting you. They sell a house, once or twice in their lifetime, and I don't want to promise them that yes, we're gonna be buying your house, and then just say, oh yeah, I couldn't assign it, and just walk away. And I have lost, and I still lost in some of the deals. I have on my numbers, I say, I lose money every 30 deals. So if 30 deals that I'm moving, when I lose money, and it's not much money anyway, but I'm willing to take the hit as far as I can keep my promise with the sellers.
Because I think at the end of the day, all three of you, you're not wholesalers, you're problem solvers.
That's
right?
correct. Yeah.
You're trying to help these sellers out of a bad situation, which most people won't or can't, or they don't feel good going to the MLS and the market and posting their property because of condition, because of liens. They have no idea how to get out of them.
Right.
So you guys are offering a service that helps them figure out how to get out of that problem, basically.
Yeah,
100%.
problem solvers, psychologists, advisors. I mean, you become a lot of things.
Right. So we got a question here in the room. So Fabian?
Fabian.
Yeah, that name?
I have two questions. So first was about when you mentioned like marketing your deal. So I understand you guys all probably have a very large buyers list as well as people who you kind of work close knit with. Is every single deal you have going out to the cream and all these marketing places, or are you hitting your or am I not supposed to? I don't know.
No, you're right.
That. Are you hitting
You
those
can
buyers first and then marketing your best buyers, I guess, first? And then is that going out to all your other marketing?
So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the question just in case we can't hear. Yeah,
Fabian.
him. So,
Fabian.
buddy, he asked the question basically
It's a
is,
good question.
once you get your deal, do they market it to the VIPs first before it goes to the coin, the cream, deal makers, all the different places? So,
Not all of my properties hit the market or the off-market market.
because you have good buyers, you know
Yes,
they'll buy
so
it.
if I, especially buyers that have placed offers in the past and it didn't work out, and I know they've been desperately looking for something, I do give them first look, like, hey, but don't disappoint me. A lot of them, it's a trickle down effect. You hit your repeat buyers, and then it hits the next tier of marketing. I do try and post most everything to the cream. I know that's contradicting, but I do try and post there because I want people to know I'm still active. I want anyone who's new and investing to reach out to me, whether we can get together on this deal or the next one. But yeah, that's why I started laughing. Sorry.
Right. So we got
just one more.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I know you guys are pretty transparent about your assignment fees, so I was just wondering as far as is there a certain point where you'll do a double close or something like that, or you pretty much always just standard assignment?
I really think you want to repeat the question so they.
I made sure they can hear. We can hear.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So it's really important for you to know that you're dealing with serious buyers. A serious buyer doesn't care about your wholesale fee.
Exactly.
They just care about his numbers. I just closed my record deal just in December, and it was a $65,000 wholesale fee. And for me, I knew I was gonna get a lot. And the thing is that, it was a really hot deal, and we asked people, hey, this one is having a lot of traction and a lot of people is asking for it. If I can't wholesale it, I really wanted it to buy it myself. I knew it was a really good deal for us. So I say, just send me your offers, and I disclose as much as I could. I really wanted people to kind of check the contract, what it says, because it was a little bit complicated. But an investor knows, how much he can pay, how much it's going to cost them, and how much money they can make. So it doesn't matter for them if their numbers work to pay a high wholesale fee on the other side. If they don't pay it, somebody else is going to pay it. So you take the deal or you lose it. So.
So we had another question from the group online. As a new wholesaler, their question is, I can't find a buyer before my contract expires. How do I go about getting out of the contract? So I want to speak to this before we get to that. Obviously, you should have the means to purchase the property, whether or not you can find a buyer. So that's, I think, one of the things Esteban and everybody here has said. But should it be a situation where you have to get out, are there ways that a wholesaler can get out of that contract?
I think, yeah, I mean, number one, you made a mistake in the first place and you put it in contract too high. For me, if I ever get into that situation, like I've had this happen a couple times where I've just given the seller $1,000 or, just help, like, hey, I screwed up, I made a mistake. I would offer to set them up with a realtor and, do whatever it takes to get them to, recover from your mistake and make sure they're in a good spot. But yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the worst things you can do. And it's something that happens all the time. Like so many properties. Yeah.
So again, you're still trying to solve the problem, even if you make a mistake, by giving them a little bit of money to say sorry, and then offering the realtor route or whatever, right? But still, the goal should be to buy the property yourself and or assign it to somebody else, right?
Have good if you feel like that might be an issue, you need to communicate that with the seller as early as possible and let them readjust their expectations.
Right, because they might be like moving out of the property, they might have placed a tenant notice. Like I had a situation where the gentleman was physically moving out and I knew my buyer was going to close, so we were fine, but they are really making major life adjustments for you, and you have to take that very, very seriously.
Right. Cool. Okay, so I think we've talked enough at this point about how to work with these three guys and girls. Now I want to get into a little bit about how you guys became wholesalers, some of the things that you do to find deals, and just to help some of the people that are listening online to, starting out in wholesaling, what they can do to better themselves a little bit. So really the first question I'll ask is, how did you get into wholesaling, Sean?
I found somebody on Bigger Pockets. I knew I was moving. I picked Columbus as the market I wanted to move to. I got lucky. I found somebody on Bigger Pockets and partnered up with them for the first year. And we started sending mail, and it was a little bit easier back then to find deals. So just jumped right in, just went full time. I think one thing that was helpful is I drove for dollars for a couple months straight, learned the neighborhoods, got out, talked to people, and just jump in.
So talk more about driving for dollars.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple things, right? Bigger Pockets.
Yeah, it's the Facebook of real estate investing. So it's a place where it's a social network for people interested in real estate.
Okay, very cool.
I've met tons of good people on there, so that's been a huge resource.
So it's biggerpockets.com, I believe, and then they also have a pretty amazing podcast, guys. So anybody new to real estate, go to Bigger Pockets and just put it on in your car 24/7 and turn the radio off and listen to Bigger Pockets. They've got 470 some episodes at this point.
As you drive for dollars, just crank that Bigger Pockets.
What is driving? Are you looking for dollars on the ground, or what?
Yeah, exactly, man. You're just trying to find loose change.
Trying to find loose change to pay for your marketing.
No, so I think with any time you're trying to, I know we're going to talk about lists, but the best list you can find is the hardest to get list, and the hardest to get list is driving around and just with a notepad, or there's a app, Deal Machine, and just writing down, going in and looking for any house that sticks out. Anything like old window, the nicer the neighborhood, like the lower you're like the less work it's going to need. But just different neighborhoods, you're looking for different things. High grass, and you're just writing down all those addresses, just anybody who looks like they're not taking as good of care as their neighbors. And that's going to be the best list you'll ever get.
And
Very
then,
labor intensive.
And then you can go to that thing called the auditor site we talked about earlier, right?
Look up the rental contact info.
Right.
Cold call 'em.
Yeah. And Abby, okay, so how did you get into wholesaling?
Oh goodness. I worked for a multifamily developer. The gentleman who owned it is John Kenny, and I worked for him for 3 years out of college. And I just realized that I was never going to be a CEO if I continued to work for a CEO. So he helped me buy my first rental. I went and worked for Dustin Faith at DF Premier Homes for like 2 years, and I really, opposite of Sean, who just like dove in head first, I had kind of a mentor. Like I was working there, W-2, Dustin showed me the ropes. And that's really how I got started in investment real estate. Comps, estimates, looking at all these different facets that maybe I didn't think of. And then kind of also what Sean said, I listened to a lot of Bigger Pockets. They have a ton of YouTube videos. They're founded on the premise that this knowledge should be free. And it shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to pay to learn these things. So I was on Bigger Pockets a lot as well.
Right. And a comment to that where I think, it's nice to have the free information, which is why you guys are here, and obviously we really appreciate it. But everybody learns a little different, right?
Yeah.
Some people are good at going out on YouTube and Bigger Pockets and researching. Some people like to be told. So there's tons of groups out there, which I'm sure Esteban can speak to, that you can pay big money if you want to go to, and they'll teach you the ropes if that's the way you learn. But again, it's up to the individual still to make that effort to go find the information, whether it's free or whether they want to pay for it. Right?
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a big investment on yourself to really be able to take the time and focus to it. So it's definitely not a knock on these larger infrastructures that charge for it. It's just how I learned.
Absolutely. And then Esteban, how did you get started in this?
Yes, so I first got started with on rehabbing. I started at the end of 2013. I signed up for a program, and 6 months after, I bought my first rehab. So my background is as a general contractor, so I had my license as a general contractor. So it was a little bit easier, that part. It was a little bit hard to remove myself from thinking that I could do everything in the way. I had to do it, so I did it. Now, I became really good doing rehabs and with private money lending. But the thing is that with the rehabs, we all bought these rehabs in Old Town East, Fulga rehabs.
Sorry guys, we're muting people right now. Sorry about the interruption here.
Let's go ahead and make sure everyone but Brian Fisher is muted right now, please.
Thank you.
When you mute Nate, I think it mutes everybody at once because you muted me, just to make sure that you knew that. Again, everybody, just make sure you keep your guys' microphones muted. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Go ahead.
So it was, for me, the wholesaling was one more sector of the real estate business that I wanted to get into it. Like you have the rehabbing side, the buy and hold side, the wholesaling side, the commercial side, and plus having cash flow, cash flow, just because those huge rehabs, you're putting $150,000 to $200,000 that you don't get paid after 6 to 8 months. So for me, it was mostly like cash flow and just having one more section of the real estate investing world in my portfolio. And it's been about 2 years now. I really hit big walls. It took me a long time to learn how to do it. Sean is an amazing person. I have learned a lot from him. And it's just sometimes you think you're doing the right thing, and this is super important. That is why it's so important to network, and not just network, create relationships. Because I knew I was doing the right thing, but you doubt it. And then when you talk to one of your friends, like Sean, and I say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you're kind of doubting. And he said, no, you're doing the right thing. I'm doing exactly the same, and I'm being, successful. And then you kind of just let go. Thank you. And he's a person that I started that when we met, we just connect, and whatever I asked him, he was willing to share with me, and it's the same way back and forward. Whatever he asked me, I'm willing just to share with him as much as I can. So yeah, that's how I got started in wholesaling.
Cool. So quick question, you can just put a number to it or a quick description or explanation. When you guys started wholesaling, how much money did it take? Was it free driving for dollars? Was it $10,000 to go buy lists? Was it $5 and paying a pizza delivery guy to carry a sign around on his car?
It's as much or as little as you want to put into it. If you want to do it for, you know, shoestring budget, go out and drive for dollars and look up those numbers on the auditor's site and call those people. For me personally, it was maybe a few $1,000s to buy some lists and start sending mail. I think people get caught up and look for excuses to hesitate to actually jump into it, like, oh, I need this, or I need this, I need this system. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. Just start doing it. You don't need that much money. Having a little bit of money is going to make it easier, but it's also going to complicate it. So I just keep it really simple and just charge at it.
I think that's true. I think like maybe a couple of thousand it took me to get my first deal, but I have a story about a different investor. He is a very good flipper. He doesn't wholesale often, and I work with him a lot. He gets his best deals flipping by door knocking. So like if you think of his return on investment, it's insane. It's just his time. And he gets like the coolest properties in Clintonville and Old North, and he makes very good money on them, and it's free. So I think that you really could start with no money and like maybe a cell phone.
The best deal that I've ever gotten came from somebody who door knocked and we partnered up on the deal. Absolutely.
100%.
Hustle is way more important. Hustle and motivation is way more important than money.
Yeah. So basically it's time or money, right?
Love that.
And if you don't have money, hustle.
Yeah.
Right? Anything to add to that, Esteban? Pretty much the same.
No, it is the same thing, and same thing, relationships. It's because you may not have money, but you know, if you drive for dollars and you find properties and then you go and tell Sean, hey, I have this list, I look at this, you know, you start kind of networking and creating that relationship. He might put the marketing together, he might make the call, and he's gonna give you a good fee for that, not just a finder fee. It's like, and then if Sean or me or anybody see, hey, this guy is hustling, believe me, if I see somebody, if somebody calls me and asks me something and for whatever reason I can't answer, and you know, I just kind of let go, but they call me back and they call me 3 times and they ask the right questions, believe me, for me, I think the most rewarding thing on this business is kind of give back to my team or to the people that is around. When I can do something for somebody to be able to be successful, that's the most rewarding thing for me. That's what it makes me happy. That's what it keeps me moving. And I have done it many, many times. But it's important that that person on the other side is really putting their time, hustling, trying to learn, and appreciating what you're giving to them.
Okay, so I got a question here coming from the studio audience. Do you think it is better for a new investor to work with wholesalers such as yourselves, or work on doing their own deal flows?
I think you should get a mentor. I mean, get your own deals and run your own numbers. But just like that earlier question, there's nothing worse than disrupting someone's life. And I have people all the time like, hey, can I run numbers by you? We've done that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, look at this deal. It's weird. Like, what do you think? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. And especially someone that's a veteran, like, and I didn't know a deal, and maybe I haven't done a lot of construction work, and I know Esteban knows his stuff. I'd much rather do that, check, maybe like get cut in on the deal. So there's some, you know, investment, but make sure it's successful, because the worst thing you can do is put it in contract and let it fall out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you think you have, No, perfect.
Yes, no, all of the
Yes,
above.
Perfect.
yes, perfect.
I appreciate
Love
the
it.
clarification. and we'll go
Take
back
your
to
Yeah,
deals to
no.
Abigail and she'll make them work.
And I'll be like, no,
Awesome.
maybe.
Okay, so here's a question again from everybody online. How do I know if a wholesaler is actually providing a good quality service as a buyer? Like, how do I know that the wholesaler I'm working with has got a good reputation and they're solid? Because obviously we see tons of deals
Yeah.
on coin, well, not coin because you're not allowed to advertise, friendly reminder, on Cream and other sites. You know, like how do we know that people that are presenting these deals are actually good people and the deals are good, or is it just back to the due diligence, or what do you suggest?
I would ask them what title company they're working with.
Okay.
And then I'd call that title company up. That's me personally. And then I'd ask around like, hey, have you done business with them? Networking.
It's just ask the right questions. Even when we got, and this applies on both sides. So the buyer needs to ask the right questions to the wholesaler. And if you see that he's doubting or that he's trying to hide something and he's not answering, okay, it might not be the right person. But even for us, you know, every time that we do these positions, we want to screen the buyer. We want to make sure that he's a serious buyer, that he knows what he's doing. I don't, you know, normally we don't schedule showings to the first person that is calling us, because this is not like shopping on the MLS that you go and check the property and do your rehab estimator or something like that. We provide an inspection report. It's a simple inspection report, but it's done by a third party. And I provide 150, 200 pictures, which when they take a picture of the wall, they take a picture of every single part of the wall. If there is something wrong on that corner, you know, like mold or something, we have the picture for that side. So I tell people, and you know, that you really have to take your time. Even newer people, take your time looking at every picture and take your time looking at the inspection report, and just make sure that your numbers work. And we screen the people as well, just because we really want somebody who's going to perform.
Okay, so I think what I want to do at this point is two final things from each of you. One, any final thoughts about wholesaling in general, from being a wholesaler to becoming a wholesaler? And then two, obviously throw out your contact information verbally, how they can best reach you. Obviously we'll send that information out and it's in the chat windows and stuff too, but I want to come in directly from you guys. So we'll start with Abby again. Best thing or final thoughts on being a wholesaler and or becoming a wholesaler?
Yeah. I love what I do. I'm not just a wholesaler. I have my buy and holds. I'm also an agent, so I'm licensed. But I love what I do. I love helping people. That's my favorite thing about real estate. I don't believe real estate's about houses. It's about people. So I take a lot of pride in making sure people are taken care of. So I think that's my final thoughts on wholesaling, is it's really not as maybe bad or jaded of a term as people think it is if you're working with the right company and entities like the gentleman next to me. And on becoming a wholesaler, I'm a big proponent of getting a mentor, someone that maybe you see posting on the Cream a lot, has good reputations, these guys, because it is serious business and you have to take it with a lot of care. There's so many things that I've learned over the past 3 years doing this that I would have no idea if I started. So I would get a mentor. That's my biggest advice. And you can reach me on my email. It is Abigail@EastLane, LAINE, properties.com.
That's fine.
Yes, me too. I love what I do. I really do. My wife is, she's here. So I really think, you know, mentor, just pay for a program if you can, watch seminars. And what I tell everybody, practice, 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 practice. Get a deal analyzer, kind of learn how to estimate repairs. There is many programs and systems there that can help you doing that. But you can go on Zillow or Craigslist, look for open houses, look for sale by owner, call the owner, start asking questions, start going on the phone, and you're gonna screw up many times, and the chances that you're gonna meet that seller again is I mean, it's none to zero. So practice, go to their houses, take notes, do your repair estimator. Just keep doing this, because when you're ready to analyze a property and you start understanding the market, going into Realtor.com, Zillow.com, all these free websites, you know, you don't see it, but you're gonna become an expert. And it doesn't take, you know, it's not like 100 times that you have to do it. You know, 7, 8, 10 times that you do it, you're gonna see the change and how fluid you start becoming in the process of understanding the system and how to talk to a homeowner, because you need to talk to them to put the properties in their contract. You're gonna understand that the more you listen, the more they talk, the most chances you have to close on that property, asking the right questions, all of that. So just practice, and then jump on the water. And if you screw up, that's okay. I mean, screw up before you put it under contract. You know what I mean? It's screw before, but if you practice that before putting it into the contract, before really jumping into the water, you know, it's a good way to start.
Thanks. And Sean?
I would say I had no intention of wholesaling when I first got into real estate. That's not what I wanted to do, but I feel extremely, you know, lucky that I did. I think one great thing about wholesaling is that you're learning the entire real estate process. You're learning title, you're learning to deal with buyers, you're learning to deal with sellers, you're learning eviction, you're learning everything. And then if you stick with it, it's an amazing, I know for us, we all do other things besides wholesaling, but if you want to do rentals, if you want to do flips, it allows you to take the very best deals and kind of cherry pick everything. And it's opened up so many doors for me personally. And yeah, as far as like, if anybody ever wants to get a hold of me, you can always get on our buyers list at investin614.com. My email is Sean@GOCC. And I just say, like, I love meeting new people. I love helping out. I love analyzing deals with people. And that's been like another one of the best things is there's such a great, amazing community of investors here in Columbus. And I've just made so many lifelong friends and people like all you, Brian, everybody here. It's just been an amazing opportunity. I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So in wrapping up, I just want to say thanks to you guys for coming out tonight and just talking to everybody and giving them the insight into your business and how to take over some of your business, hopefully. Just kidding. But no, again, sharing the information
There's
is
plenty of houses out
absolutely right. Again, scarcity versus
Not with
abundance
me.
mindset. You know, everybody's here because everybody at this table has that abundance mindset and they don't mind sharing the information because there are plenty of houses out there, plenty of sellers that need people's help.
There are a lot
But
of
again,
houses.
do a good job, treat people correctly, and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Back to the coin group itself in the meeting, if you guys have any questions that weren't answered, please put those questions in the group and then we'll try to get follow-up from these three if we can't answer them for you as well. And remember, like, if you need something, ask. The networking. Everybody here said one of their main things was networking and meeting other people. So get on the coin group and work on networking and meeting other people and asking for what you need, not what you have to sell to other people. What do you need and what can you offer as far as value add in their life? And that doesn't mean a house. That doesn't mean your gutter service. That doesn't mean a tree trimming service. How do you help them in their business and how do you make that connection in our group? So we are all about getting people together, networking and growing together as a team. So again, I'm gonna toss this back to Nate real quick to finish up the evening. And thank you all for coming to hang out and listen to me talk to my side.
And thank you to Brian Barker there with that nice old school mic. Yeah, wow, what a great session. And thank you very much to our panelists. You guys crushed it and provided a lot of information. This is a forum where the people in the group are literally able to just directly ask you guys questions and get responses right from you. I also love what you touched on right there at the end about how there are enough houses to go around. And of the people that are sitting here on this call right now, there are some movers and shakers in this community, and there's plenty of real estate activity that's going to be happening in the coming decades, and a lot of it's going to be happening between people that are on this call in this group. So thanks everyone for taking the time to join us this evening. Thanks again, Sean, Abby, Esteban, really awesome. Appreciate you taking the time. And it's 2021, so let's all look forward to trying to do some business with somebody else who's on this call with us here. And I think we can all have a great year. We got another meeting third Tuesday of February. Join us on the Coin Facebook group if you're not there already to get that topic TBD, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks everybody, it's been a great meeting.
Thanks guys, see ya.